not sure if you can hear it, that noise. Pain Freeze has gone through a complete cycle of celery, and we are about to see how it went. Now, I did add about 3 hours extra of drying time because I was out and about, but this honestly went a lot quicker than I expected. It only took, it's at 13 hours now, so that means it took around 10 hours. I'm really a little nervous about that, but we'll see. Most of it was leaves, though, I will say that, and there was only one tray with stems, and they were pretty small. Matter of fact, that's the first one that we're gonna check out. Okay. These are our, let's move that over. These are the ones that we did for snacking purposes. These are the celery sticks that have been seasoned with our signature seasoning. And I just want to try one. Hey, you want to try a seasoned celery stick? Freeze.
I don't normally like celery.
Okay, well, let me get you a small piece. There you go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's really good. I don't like celery because of the smell, but when you eat it, you can't help but have to smell it. But with this freeze dry, you don't have to smell it.
And the seasoning?
It's really good.
Yeah.
But it still tastes like celery.
It's definitely still celery.
Powerful. It's very powerful.
You are not denying or covering the fact that it's celery, but it is good.
That's very good. That's the first time actually like eating celery and actually liking it and wanting it. But usually that smell makes me nauseated.
So, this is gonna go aside for snacking purposes.
Good.
Yep. Okay. So that's tray one. Okay. Now the rest of these trays will be all the same. It's all celery leaves, and as usual, I'll overpack them. So we'll see if I can minimize how much we lose here. Ooh. Look at that. So pretty. So pretty. Love it.
That too, or is that just regular leaves?
These are, yeah, I just freeze dried these. You want a bigger one? They're going to be a little bit more fibrous the bigger they are. So I try to use the smaller ones.
They're good though.
Still good. Still good.
It's a little bit of a bitter taste at the end. I don't know what that is.
Celery. Celery. It's certain varieties. I did 2 different varieties as well on the celery. And I think the yellow variety. Kale chips.
Yeah.
Like kale chips. I mean, there's plenty of celery out there still. I didn't even harvest half of it, so.
It looks so pretty though.
I'm gonna miss looking at it in the hot tunnel. I will in the fall. Now you may be wondering, what am I going to do with all of this celery? Well, a bunch of things. It's definitely dry. Okay, so yeah, we are definitely dry here. Look at that. See the powder just falling off of it there. So it's definitely dry. I guess we'll go ahead and put it directly in the blender and go ahead and get it powdered down for ease of storage, okay? Just wanted you to have a nice close-up on it to see how pretty it is. It's absolutely beautiful. I just think it's beautiful. And I may be a little partial since I did grow this with my own two hands and love it with my own heart. Okay, so while I'm getting this in to the blender here, I will just let you know we had so much celery this year that I'm going to be doing my celery salt in larger portions instead of the small, like, I think it's like 2-ounce spice jar that we have used in the past. I am actually going to be doing like a 4-ounce mason jar. This particular batch here, though, is going to the side for family use, and we have so much more that's out there that there's going to be plenty left over for public use. Now, in addition to what we have produced in our freeze dryer, we also have a batch that's ready to come out of the dehydrator as well. We did the batch, you know what, I'll talk about that when we get there. As for the settings that we did on the freeze dryer, we just did the settings, the pre-settings for celery. I started this process of getting the celery ready to be processed for preservation, and then I had to rest. So I came back the next day, and then I started looking at the settings in the app, and the app said wash your celery, clean it good, chop it up into thin slices, however you're going to do it. Recommended blanching and then pre-freezing the stems, but that does not need to be the case for the celery leaves. Now, it had already been 24 hours. No blanching had been done, and there had already been some slight wilting that was happening with the leaves, as well as I could notice some dehydration already happening with the stems. So the purpose of blanching is to preserve the color, the texture, all of that. And some of that was already starting to be lost just from the fact that it had already been processed, or the process had been started for preservation. So we went ahead and took that and put it into the dehydrator. Now, according to the law here in Alabama for cottage food, anything that's freeze dried needs to be lab tested, not by yourself, but by an independent lab. It needs to be tested for water activity, which helps them determine the shelf stability of the item. The water activity level needs to be at a certain point. I'll pop that up here because I can't remember. It needs to be less than something. It's really low. It's like 0 point something. 0.0 something. And once you get that certification, then it's like, okay, you know how to dehydrate said item, and then you're good. But for dehydrated items, because that's not much of an issue, that's not required with most dehydrated items. So for the public, we will be using what we have over in the dehydrator for celery salt. This is going aside for other uses later. I felt so mad at myself. On occasion, you remember when we were in high school, and this will be people, I don't know that anyone does this anymore. Life is so different. In just a few short years since I graduated, things have changed quite a bit. But every now and then you'd have this instructor or teacher who would really promote reading the instructions first. And sometimes they would give you a test, and if you didn't read the instructions, you would actually do the test. But if you read the instructions all the way through, you would realize that you didn't have to spend the time. And I can't tell you how many times I have gotten caught up in that. Sometimes I'm just so excited to get started, to get into the process, to show what I know when it comes to a test. I don't want to forget the information. I already have test anxiety, or had. So yeah, a few times I have been that girl. Sooner than later, though, I did learn to pay attention to other people. I mean, like, if everybody else is turning in their test this quickly, I know they ain't that smart. Then, yeah, might be something to it. So that's how much we have. Pretty much a full blender here. And this blender holds... Oh, Lord, I cannot see those numbers. 64 ounces. 62 ounces? Yeah, 64. Okay, there we go. That's pre-freeze dried. I did do some crumbling, as you saw. There's quite a bit up here on the counter, but not more than, I'd say, a few tablespoons. All right, so let's go ahead and get this processed and packaged. And we're going to also package up the seasoned celery sticks. And then we'll be able to get started on the little bit. Now, there's not nearly as much in the celery, which is our dehydrator, or sorry, is her name. But it still needs to be taken care of. And then I got to get on Amazon or somewhere and find some good size, I think I want to do 4-ounce mason jars for this. Smells so good. And look at that. It is down to that, which is like I'd say about 10 ounces or so is what it went down to there. Isn't that something? All right, let me get, I want to do this in a jar. I think I do. We have it. All right, so I've got this one sealed. Well, this is a 16-ounce jar, I believe. You know what? I don't know what Slim Chicken jar is. Take that back. Anyway, that's that. When I first started, I was not as well informed about storing stuff as I should have been. And as a result, those Kiwano melons that we did, freeze dried and put in the cute little bags and all of that, they are soft. Now, no degradation has taken place. I caught it. I saw something on somebody else's video and I was like, that's the same kind of bag I put those Kiwano melons in. Let me check. Sure enough. So I caught it all. Everything's been put in the bags in the freezer. So I'm going to just stick them back through the whole process again and see how the texture comes out. Like, it could be a wash. Could just be something for the chickens to eat. are the ones that are plain, not the ones that are seasoned. But we'll see. Let me get one of these. Like, these are so good. Like, I feel like even plain, they would be good for me because I really like celery. This celery, when we grew ourselves, it was the best celery I've ever tasted. Like, the flavor is so, it's good. It's good. I'm gonna go heat seal this. I'm back to my comfy spot over at the coffee maker now that we're done using the Vitamix to blend everything down. Everything is stored. And now I'm going to go ahead and pull the trays out of our Kasori dehydrator. And we're going to just kind of, you'll be able to see the differences between something that's been freeze dried and dehydrated. I can tell you immediately how much the celery itself just shrank down. Was crazy. I'll let you see though. Let me see if I can get it all in one tray. This is what we're looking like now. Difference. For years, I have dehydrated and I will continue to dehydrate, but having the freeze dryer has really helped me to appreciate how the science behind pulling moisture from an item does play a role in how that item will look after the fact and also how long it will last. It's just not something I thought about before. It was like, oh yeah, do it and do this and do that. Let's zoom me in here. If you have a dehydrator, like, that is the best. That is some of the best ways to preserve a lot of herbs, and even just hanging them up in your kitchen in a safe space to let them air dry like we did our goldenrod last year is also very cool. All right, so you can see the texture is very different. Oh, that felt a little soft. Let's get that out of there. So let's go through and feel of everything. When I dehydrate, I generally will do the recommended amount. If I'm going to be doing a, how do I say, like a seasoning blend where I'm blending this down into a powder or a coarse crumble, then I usually do something called conditioning. And conditioning is just where you're taking just that extra level of safety, kind of like we do with freeze drying. When you put a little extra freeze drying time on, I will take the item, and I'm going to show you, because I've decided just now that I'm going to do that with this, so I'll show you. All right, I'm going to go over and get the leaves. We're going to come back to that. But we're going to need this tray here. So I'm going to put it to the side. Here's where we are. This is what we look like after 12 hours at 125 in the dehydrator. All right. And it's also very crispy, but you know, you don't get that powder. See if that like crispy down to the, yeah, it's definitely dry. All right, that's where we are after blending. Let's go ahead and get this back onto that tray. Okay, Now this feels pretty dry. But to do what I call conditioning, which is just an extra level of protection, is since we've run this through the blender and we've gotten it into a nice powder, I'm going to put it back in the blend into the celery. I'm just putting this on top. I always do this just in case the fan blows the powder, tries to blow the powder. This will help keep it stabilized. Now that we have it all set up, I put this extra tray, I guess this is another tray that sits on top of the metal tray, in the celery. I will take this and put it into on a lower temperature. We're going to put it on like 90 this time, and I'm going to do it at like 2 hours, and then we'll come back and we'll get this packaged up and we'll compare the colors of the two and let you see what the differences are in appearance when it comes to freeze drying versus dehydrating the same product. Okay, so I did end up running the freeze. No, You hear my daughter talking about how she ready to eat in the background? I'm leaving this in the video because the struggle is real. So I ended up letting the celery run for 3 hours, and then it ended up running on 95. I think I said 90 earlier, but it only goes down to 95. I didn't realize that earlier. So I have my jar here. We're going to go ahead and get that. Okay, I'm going to get that out and we'll compare everything and see how it looks. So we did have Bible study. We're just getting home from that. I'm like, before I get comfy, let me go ahead and get this taken care of. All right. So this is the color now. Just, I don't know, very, very similar. Not very different there. Let's go ahead and get it in. Just got those little grate marks on it from that tray that was sitting on top of it to keep the powder from flying all over the place. And push everything as much as I can to the middle of the tray here, so that it should transfer fairly easily. Should. Okay, now I think I see a little bit of a difference. Let's put an oxygen absorber in, and okay. Oh, what did I do with it? I had already got a ring out earlier. I'm in a lid. Here we go. All right. Seems like it's taking forever to close, so I'm wondering if something is wrong with my lid. All right. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and write on this one because this is the dehydrated celery from 5/19/26. Okay, and then I'll automatically know that this is freeze dried, but I am gonna put the date 5/19/26. I'm gonna put celery, just for fun. I'll put FD for freeze dried. All right, so are you able to tell a difference in color? In this particular case, like, I'm really struggling. I can't. Let me. There's definitely a difference in texture. The freeze dried one is smoother. They were done in the same blender for the same amount of time, so I'm gonna say that has to do with the processing. But otherwise, I really don't see a difference between the two. Like, if I go blah 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 blah, like, do you know which one is freeze dried and which one isn't? Can you tell? The texture is giving it away for me every time. So, it's pretty cool still. I'm gonna go ahead and get some rings on these, okay? Well, that's that. You can decide for yourself whether freeze drying is best or dehydrating is best when it comes to your produce, your herbs, or you may find that one particular process is not a coverall. And I feel like that's where I fall. I feel like having access to both means that I can experiment and find out which ways are going to be more beneficial for each individual item that comes from the garden, or even items that we are purchasing from the store. So it is nice to have options, and I am so thankful for that. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you learned something. If you would like to see more videos about food preservation, freeze drying, just check out this playlist here. If you haven't already, please subscribe, share, and like, and we will catch you in the next video. In the meantime, grow big from home. I gotta go cook some food for this young lady. So, what you want to eat? Chips are not dinner.